Hello YouTube, this is Tom Crandall from Gear Mashers, and I'm super excited. I have the Eleiko Prestera Half Rack behind me, and so I'm going to be talking about that, so stay tuned. Okay, so we're back and this is it. This is the Eleiko Prestera Half Rack. Really solid rack. So in Swedish, Prestera means performance, and that's what this is, a high performance rack that you can find in a commercial gym, obviously a home gym or garage gym in this case. So that's what we have here. So before I talk about this, I want to talk about the XF series of racks. So from what I understand, Eleiko is phasing out the XF series. So Eleiko has a similar rack to this called the XF80 Hybrid. And so they're phasing that out and replacing it with the Prestera line. The biggest difference between the two is, well, the XF line weighs more and the tube set is bigger. So the tube set on the XF80 is 3x3. And the tube set on the new Prestera line is 70 millimeters by 70 millimeters. I have to imagine that when Eleiko was designing this or redesigning the Prestera line, cost probably played a part in the whole design aspect. They essentially, at least from what I can see on the website as far as weight stats and stuff like that, so the XF80 Hybrid weighed about 370 pounds, give or take. And then this one with these J-cups and sliding arms comes in about 270 pounds. So with that weight change, obviously, you know, they're not using as much steel, which then, you know, saves them money. Plus on shipping, since it doesn't weigh as much, that's obviously got to save them some money there too. And the customer. Customer doesn't have to pay as much on shipping. But they said they redesigned the Prestera because they brought in, I guess, their own Eleiko athletes and stuff like that, had them set up, took measurements, all that, and they came out with this design. I haven't read all the research behind it or anything like that, but that's how it is. They've redesigned a lot of their accessories, so if you have an XF80 rack and you look at the accessories on the new Prestera line, they definitely have changed some accessories. So for instance, the new accessory on here is their sliding J-cups. They didn't have a sliding J-cup before, and this particular J-cup also has a roller on it so you can reposition the barbell. And this is by far the beefiest J-cup that I think Eleiko's ever come out with. It has a lot of plastic up the front here to protect the bar so it doesn't get beat up. It has a nice polyurethane roller, and I think the front of this is probably replaceable, is my guess, because there are two screws here. I do have a video on the Eleiko J-cup, so if you want to check that out, you certainly can. And then they have a sliding safety arm. If I had it to do over, I probably wouldn't have gone with the sliding safety arm. I think I would have gotten the one that attaches from the side. And I believe the one that attaches or from the front or however it attaches. Anyway, I think that's actually more expensive than the sliding one. But sliding one, you don't have to worry about it going anywhere. And I suppose like in a commercial gym setup, is probably better to have the sliding sliding safety arm than not. And then they went with these stainless steel uprights. Before they just had regular steel. So the stainless steel uprights is an upgrade to this particular rack. You can get regular steel uprights, but they decided to go with stainless. Looks really nice. They have the numbering etched in here. They went with 25 millimeters between the holes, which is nice. I would have, like, if I could give them advice, I would either etch the numbers deeper, or I would actually just laser them all the way through. The issue I find that, and I'm sure other people will probably find this as well, is if you have a lot of light coming in from the top, what happens is the numbers are sort of gray and they become a little harder to see when you're trying to position your J-cup or your safety arms. So that's just something that I think Eleiko probably down the road potentially could do, is to actually have the numbers lasered all the way through rather than just a light etching. One thing I thought was interesting, so when I went to Eleiko's office headquarters, I noticed that with the stainless steel, one of the issues is magnets don't stick to it. So any of the higher quality stainless steel, I guess, doesn't have as much iron or whatever. You're not going to have magnets stick to it. And so I was like, damn, I always like to, you know, stick my magnets on here. And this is the Eleiko Oppen collar that has magnets on here. But as it turns out, you can stick them, in this case, I can stick them to the J-cup, I can stick them to the safety arm, and then any of the uprights in the back here, it will stick to as well. So I don't think it's a big deal anymore. It was just something that initially, when I hadn't really thought about it and hadn't played around with the rack, I was like, damn, I wish I didn't get the stainless steel uprights. Now I love it. I did order some other accessories for this. So a dip bar accessory, and I'm waiting on that. Also ordered a pull-up bar, waiting on that. When I put this sucker together, it was a little difficult, I have to say. And I was sort of surprised. I would have thought the engineers might have thought more about the ability to put this rack up and how they positioned where bolts were going. So the problem you run into is in between the two posts here, there's bolts that go from front to back into the support posts. And when you're trying to put the bolts in, you have limited space. So if I'm trying to put the bolt in this way, it's fine. But there's these little gaps that you have to work in. And so when you're using a tool here, your ratchet tool, there's just not a lot of room to play around with. So it's definitely a two-person job when you're putting this rack up. So that's just something to think about. It's more difficult than other racks I've put together. A lot of racks have sandwiches as far as supports, and so you're working on the outside or inside of the rack, inside, outside, and so you have a lot of room to maneuver your tools. With this one, you're working inside the rack and you're working down low, and then you have some other bolts up in here that are a little more difficult to get to. The reason why they did that is just to make the rack look more streamlined. Not as many bolts are exposed, especially down at the bottom here. It's very clean, whereas my Rogue rack bolts are sticking out all over the place. And that's their design. They want it to look, you know, more rugged. So overall, I think this is a great rack. It is expensive, $3,000 plus, you know, with everything that you see here, versus, you know, you can get a much less expensive one from, say, Rogue or Rep Fitness or Titan. Obviously, Titan's going to have probably one of the less expensive half racks out there. But overall, I think Eleiko did a super job. It looks really nice, and it definitely stands out. One thing I know I'm gonna have to do here is if I wanna do pull-ups in the garage, even when I have a pull-up bar here, I'm gonna have to lower the top beam down some so that my head doesn't hit the top of the ceiling. So yeah, that's something I'll have to figure out. Maybe I'll have another review on what I did eventually. So anyway, I hope you like this review. If you have any questions or anything, definitely leave them in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Also, I'm looking to get some Instagram followers, so definitely check out gearmashers.com on Instagram, or gearmashers on Instagram. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have a great day.